Hi there, I'm Dr. Petra Kern, the owner of Music Therapy Consulting and Della Vista Publisher. I'm a board-certified music therapist, consultant, global educator, researcher, member of the board of directors of the Certification Board for Music Therapists, and former president of the World Federation of Music Therapy. I'm also the editor-in-chief of Imagine and co-editor of the book Early Childhood Music Therapy and Autism Spectrum Disorder, supporting young children and their families. Today, I would like to talk about 3 essentials, #ECMT and #ASD. As autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, is currently the most served population in music therapy practice worldwide, most likely you have seen a person with ASD at your practicum, internship, or at work. You might have asked yourself about latest research-based knowledge, evidence-based practices, and trends for providing effective services to young children with ASD and their families. Let's start with the latest prevalence rate, discussed causes, diagnostic features, and intervention options. Newly released data from March 2020 suggests that about 154 children in the US are identified with ASD. This is again an increase from previous prevalence data. ASD is still 4 times more common among boys than in girls. Confirmed by the World Health Organization in November 2019, 1 in 160 persons worldwide are diagnosed with ASD. That is about 0.3% of all global disabilities. Over the decades, there have been many theories about the causes of ASD, yet the exact causes are still unknown. But ASD is commonly referred to as a neurodevelopmental disorder triggered by environmental factors that interact with genes, which then impact neurobiological factors that lead to typical symptom behavior seen in individuals with ASD. The term spectrum refers to a wide range of features, abilities, and levels of impairment. Yet, since the release of the DSM-5 in 2013, there are 2 defining characteristics of ASD: deficits in social communication and social interactions, and restricted behaviors and interests that are present in all people with ASD across their lifespan. The good news is that there are many evidence-based focused intervention practices that support children with ASD in being more independent, focus on specific learning goals, and build on strength. And music therapy is now one of them under music-mediated intervention. This is a big deal. Let's have a closer look at it. In previous literature reviews of evidence-based practices for children and youth with ASD, music therapy was rated as emerging practice, suggesting that there is not enough evidence to be fully confident that the intervention is effective. In April 2020, the National Clearinghouse on Autism Evidence and Practice released a new report that lists music therapy as evidence-based practice for children ages 0 to 14 under music-mediated intervention. Of these 7 qualifying studies, 3 came from the field of music therapy. It is important to note that music therapy as a profession is no longer rated as being evidence-based. Instead, the effects of music, not that of a music therapist, is evaluated as the important factor. Hence, we are listed under music-mediated intervention. But I predict that being recognized as an evidence-based practice will be a game changer and critical for music therapy practitioners working in schools and private practice, as it will validate their services and possibly lead to reimbursement. Next, I will feature selected authors from the ECMT and ASD book who will address 3 essential questions related to assessment, prominent approaches, and family practice. Let's start with my co-editor, Marsha Hampel, who will respond to what are reasons for conducting an assessment, why do music therapists assess, and which assessment tools can be used.
In general, assessment, as described by the Division of Early Childhood, is conducted for screening for risks or diagnostic evaluation, determining eligibility for services, identifying levels of functioning, determining the type and intensity of service delivery, monitoring progress towards goals, and measuring outcomes. According to a 2013 US-based survey by Kern, Rivera, Chandler, and myself, professional music therapists serving clients with ASD conduct assessments mainly to identify their clients' present level of functioning for intervention planning, to monitor their clients' progress, and to determine the type and intensity of service provided. Music therapists who work with young children with ASD can use one of several ASD-specific standardized assessment tools, such as the ADOS-2, the Autism Diagnostic Observation Schedule, or adapt the screening and assessment tools used by the team of their place of employment for music therapy purposes. Currently, there are few known validated music therapy assessment tools for young children with ASD. However, assessments have been developed by and for music therapists that are utilized with various populations and for different purposes. One is the 4-step assessment model by Lazar, used to determine eligibility for music therapy services with the IEP. Another, the music therapy music-related behavior assessment, or the MT-MRB by Snell, uncovers unique information gained through a child's musical behavior and the music therapist's professional interpretation of that behavior as it relates to non-musical functioning. Music therapists should stay informed about validated assessment tools that may become available in the future. Well, for example, frequently check out the work of the International Music Therapy Assessment Consortium, or IMTAC, a collaboration between universities and therapy providers worldwide that continuously aims to develop research-based music therapy assessment tools, increase awareness of assessment within and around the field of music therapy, and implement music therapy assessments in clinical practices.
Looking in 3 prominent evidence-based practice approaches, Linda Martin briefly addresses aspects of behavior intervention.
Hi, my name is Linda Martin, and I'm excited to be a part of Chapter 5 on behavior intervention, largely because it's such an integral part of my practice with children with autism and music therapy. Behavior intervention is recognized by the National Autism Center as an established intervention, which means it has a wide breadth of research supporting its efficacy. Behavior intervention is really the purposeful modification of behavior to create change. Behaviors can range anything from actions to skills to responses, so we're really looking at modifying those actions, responses in order to create positive change. In a survey by Kern and colleagues, recently they found that while a majority of music therapists are using behavior interventions with children with autism, which is great, a lot of those music therapists still felt that they could use additional training on using these techniques effectively. So we hope this chapter is really helpful for you in that. We selected 2 main areas to talk about, which are positive reinforcement and generalization. These are super important because positive reinforcement is what are going to lead to increased positive behavior change. And then generalization is really important so that once that change has occurred, it can then be carried over into other settings across different providers and people. So the purposeful implementation of a generalization plan is super important in order for those behaviors that you're changing to carry over. Then we also address antecedent-based interventions. These are really important because it's really a proactive way at looking at positive behavior change. So you're not only implementing strategies that will create that behavior change that you're looking for, but the use of antecedent-based interventions then also help lessen the negative behaviors that you're going to see. So they're super important. We cover several antecedent-based interventions in the chapter. We hope this is really practical for you in your practice and that it only improves your work with children with autism. Thanks.
Todd Schwartzberg speaks to social narratives and video modeling.
Utilizing music and video modeling for skill acquisition, skill maintenance, and skill generalization for those with autism spectrum disorder has been shown to be effective. Social narratives are visually presented personalized stories that describe social situations and appropriate behavior expectations to support individuals with ASD in acquiring and using adequate social skills. Social situations are presented through cues, explaining feelings and thoughts of others, and by stating the appropriate responses or behaviors. They are short, written from the perspectives of the individuals with ASD, and consider the comprehension level of the individuals. Social narratives are among the identified evidence-based practices for individuals with ASD and are effective in targeting social, communication, joint attention, behavior, school readiness, play, adaptive, and academic outcomes. There are 6 types of social narratives: social stories, social articles, cartooning, comic strip conversations, power cards, and social autopsies. Social stories are the most frequently applied social narratives used in various environments by parents and professionals, including music therapists. The purpose of creating a musical adaptation of a social story is not primarily to create a musical work composed of the most sophisticated, complicated rhythms, melodies, or harmonies. Melodies should be simple and memorable. Harmonies should be straightforward and reflect the mood of the story. The same visuals used in a basic social story can be embedded in the musical presentation. A musically adapted social story can be created by anyone, music therapists, other professionals, and family members, or as part of an interdisciplinary team effort. Researchers have used original music and used piggyback songs, with both being found to be effective conduits of information. Researchers have also included that familiar music may promote greater learning than unfamiliar music. Additional music considerations include, but are not limited to, the musical skill and comfort level of the practitioner, adaptability of the lyrics, preference of the child with ASD, and length of time the story and song will be used. In early childhood, video modeling can be a tool for developing communication, play, social, joint attention, school readiness, motor, adaptive, and academic skills across a wide range of environments. Researchers have concluded that the shift towards a more visual instructional support and the fact that it is socially acceptable, cost-effective, efficient, and does not require an established level of social skill makes video modeling an effective intervention for children with ASD. Moreover, video modeling can be combined with other evidence-based practices such as social narratives and music therapy interventions. Pairing video modeling with a social narrative that has been set to music can provide an added layer of information to anchor the concept being presented and promote generalization.
Next, Dr. Blythe Lagasse gives you answers related to the neurodevelopmental approach.
There are many differing opinions as to what's occurring neurologically in individuals with autism spectrum disorder. Researchers have shown a variety of things, from differences in the volume of the brain to differences in pruning processes that may lead to under or overconnectivity of certain neural networks. Further, researchers have shown differences in particular areas of the brain. For example, many researchers have shown differences in cerebellum in individuals with autism spectrum disorder. There's also an indication that cellular functioning may be different in some individuals with autism spectrum disorder, potentially suggesting subtypes of autism. In the neurodevelopmental approach, we are often looking at a mechanism called neuroplasticity in order to drive therapeutic changes. Neuroplasticity is this idea of using experience to change the brain, to make some networks stronger. Music is a wonderful way to drive neuroplasticity for many reasons. One is that it helps to engage individuals in different skills and different functions. So we can have an individual with an autism spectrum disorder being involved in different skill acquisition through music playing and music engagement that allows those pathways to be developed in the brain. Music also releases dopamine when we're involved in pleasurable music-making activities. That release of dopamine has been shown to be tied to facilitating or driving neuroplasticity. And lastly, music helps with anticipation and repetition. Because music is so beautifully structured, we have many opportunities for individuals to practice skills, and that repeated practice can help with cementing those pathways in the brain. Researchers have shown that individuals with autism spectrum disorder perceive their environment differently. This includes differences in visual stimuli, auditory stimuli, and perception of tactile stimuli. Those differences can lead to different behaviors in response to those stimuli. For example, someone might cover their ears with different auditory stimuli. They might be tactily defensiveness or tactily seeking, or they might have different reactions to visual stimuli. What music and music therapy can do is provide opportunities for grounding and regulation of the sensory system. Because music is so predictable and anticipatory, we can use music as a way to help individuals take in that sensory information, make sense of that sensory information neurologically, and then become much more regulated. That regulation can then help us to gain goal-based skills. So in a music therapy session from a neurodevelopmental perspective, we might do sensory regulation and then work on cognition, and then sensory regulation and then work on communication. That way the child is at the optimal level for learning and for acquiring new goals.
Finally, Dr. Darcy DeLoach explains family practice, how music therapists can build parents' capacity, and which systematic steps can be applied. I think family practice is the most important practice to look into during COVID-19 and beyond to support young children and their families.
Family practice is the topic for my chapter. What is family practice? When music therapists are interacting with families who have children with autism spectrum disorder, it's important for them to understand that family practice has three components: family-centered practice, collaborating with music therapists, and also building capacity for the family system to support the child. How can music therapists help build parents' capacity when interacting with their child? There are many ways music therapists can assist families in this process. Music therapists have the unique information of how to understand children's development while understanding successful strategies that can be used through music. Music is a highly motivating and rewarding interaction tool for parents to use with their child in many environments. Understanding the natural environments where children are going to have either struggles or challenges that can be met with music is the area music therapists can address when working with families. Which systematic steps should music therapists suggest for parents who are engaging their child in natural environments? There is a simple process that follows the therapeutic treatment process music therapists are already very familiar with. The first step is to share information with parents. Music therapists have important information for parents and families to be aware of when they're using music within natural environments. The next step would be to guide their engagement. Although many parents already use music in natural environments, how they use music is the area music therapists can assist with developing achievement and developing the parent's comfort level with how they're using this music with their child. The next process is to practice participation. So once the parents have the knowledge base and understand how to use music, practicing how this music is implemented within the therapeutic environment and natural environments for their child is the next step. And lastly, assessing the achievement of the child. How will the parent know if the child is being successful with these strategies using music to support their child in natural environments? These are the steps music therapists can easily take when working with families who have children with autism spectrum disorder.
Are you interested in more information? Then review the remaining expert Q&As on my blog and check out the book Early Childhood Music Therapy and Autism Spectrum Disorder. Thank you for watching and taking time to immerse yourself in 3 essentials, #ASD and #ECMT.